Hi, I'm Danny and these are my Diecast Disasters. In this video I'm going to be tidying up a couple of scruffy looking Jaguar E-types. The first one is a Corgi Whiz Wheels. I think these were produced around 1971 until 1973. Jaguar produced the real E-type from 1961 until 1975. And of course it's the car that Enzo Ferrari said was the most beautiful car ever made. And Jaguar was planning to produce a fully electric E-type a year or so ago, but I'm not sure if that's still going to happen. And our other little E-type here is a Playart. Now this was very kindly sent to me by Nathan in Australia. I think this was originally yellow. Somebody's done a pretty valiant effort of sanding all the paint off it. Not quite sure when these were produced, but I think it was the early 80s. So let's take them both off the turntable and take a closer look at them. We'll check out the Playart one first. It's a little bit smaller than the Corgi. They've done a pretty good job of getting all that paint off without damaging the windows. The wheels there are just being held on with the wire bent over. It's missing a headlight there. Missing a little bit of the back bumper. It's got a nice solid metal base on it. And the Corgi Whiz Wheels, a little bit larger. And the bonnet opens on this one. It's got those horrible wheels on it. Another yellow one, sort of odd colour for an E-type I would have thought. The motor detailing in there. And another metal base. Quite a different design with a tab and one rivet. So we'll crack on and take the cars apart. I'll start by drilling out these rivets and then I can pop the bottom off. It's got this little double tab set up here, so I had to give it a bit of a wiggle. Piece of steel rod for a suspension there. Now I can pop out the interior and the windscreen. And the base on this is painted silver, so I'm going to want to strip that as well. So I'll pop these old horrible wheels and axles out. And now for the Playart. Again, I'll drill out the posts. And then I can pop the bottom off and take it all apart. There's a few more parts to this car. It's got plastic bumpers. There we go, you can see the original yellow paint in there. The front bumper here is broken and it's missing one of the headlights. Really quite impressed with how whoever it was managed to sand that paint off of there. Now these are quite oddly pressed in here, so I ended up just having to physically pull the axles out. And now with all that taken apart, I can strip the paint off the castings with some paint stripper. And here they are after paint stripping. 99% of the paint gone off of those. And so the next step is to give them a clean up with a wire brush on my rotary tool. This will get rid of that oxidation that's all over them and any scraps of paint that are still on them. I'm using a smaller brush here to get into those tight spaces around the motor and under the bonnet. And here they are after burnishing, looking a bit cleaner and shinier there. I wasn't sure how the body of the Playart one was going to look after all the sanding it has had, but it's come up quite nice. Now there's some pretty glaring casting lines on the bonnet of the Corgi here, so I'm going to give these a bit of a file and a sand down to get rid of them. There we go, that's looking a little bit better. Now I can move on and paint the car bodies. I'll start out with some white primer on the Corgi. And I'll be painting my Corgi E-Type in military green. And then I paint in some details. And for the Playart, I start out with some black undercoat. And then I paint it a nice red. And again, some details. It was only the door handles and those tiny little front indicators. Moving on to the interiors. The red Corgi interior is certainly a little bit more detailed. Before I paint them, I'll just pop this steering wheel out of the Playart interior. And then I painted them tan. And then added a couple of details, just the steering wheel and the dash there. Here are those scruffy plastic bumpers, the broken front one. It's got the side hanging off there. It's missing one of those headlight posts. So I'll take off the chrome from them with a little bit of caustic soda and hot water. Here they are after the chrome's stripped off. Now I'm going to have to fix up this front bumper. So I'm going to start out by chopping off the remaining headlight post. Next I glue back on the side of the bumper there, and then I recreate a couple of new headlight posts with a piece of thick styrene rod. Just chop them off at an angle there and rounded them off. And the rear bumper here is missing a couple of little tiny pieces there, so I'm going to have to replace them. That's going to be a bit fiddly. I'll start out by chopping this remaining one off here. So I've got a couple of little notches where I'm going to put the new parts. I don't know what you call these sticky up bits of a bumper. And then I cut some new tiny little fiddly parts out of styrene, and there I've glued them on. You can see how small they are. Then I gave it a bit of a sand to even it out, and here they are after a coat of black undercoat. And finally I painted them in chrome. Here are the bases. The Corgi one had nothing to do to it really, I just painted it black. But this Playart one, I had to recut the grooves that the axles would go in. I'm just using a cutting disc on my rotary tool. And now I'm going to have to hold the axles in somehow. So I'm going to use these little piece of steel rod here, and then I stick a little piece of epoxy putty over it. And once I have it on there, I'll just wiggle the rod round to make sure that it's loose. I'll do the other end here. Now I'll leave this to cure. Goes off pretty fast, this stuff. It's pretty hard after 10 minutes. And once it's hardened, I'll take out those rods. Next, before it's fully hardened, I'll just give it a bit of a tidy up here with my craft knife. And finally, I'm just going to add a few drops of Starbond super glue here, just to make sure that it's really strongly attached on there. And then once that had all dried, I could give it a coat of black paint. Then I masked off the underside here. And then I could paint the ends red. And here it is with the masking removed and a couple of coats of gloss. onto the windscreens. They're both in okay condition, particularly that Corgi one. The Playart one here is a bit more delicate and scuffed. It's got a little bit of plasticine or something on it there. Anyway, I give them a good wash in some soapy water, and then a going over with some 2000 grit emery paper. There we go, that should get rid of the worst of the scuffing. And now I'll give them a polish with some plastic polish. And here they are after polishing, both looking nice and shiny now, I think. So we're nearly there. Last of all is these horrible scruffy old wheels. Those Playart ones, they are terrible. I'm going to be replacing them with some nice new spoked alloy wheels. And so, after a bit of work there, we've got all the pieces of our two Jaguar E-types refurbished, repainted and ready to go back together. But just before we take a look at the finished cars, let's just take a moment to look back and be reminded of what we started with. Here's that scruffy looking Corgi whiz wheels, this worn out yellow paint job, and those horrible old tyres there. Definitely no shape for such a classic British sports car to be in. So let's see how it looks after a bit of a tidy up. And here it is, our restored and customised Corgi whiz wheels Jaguar E-type, repainted in a nice dark military green. It's been detailed inside and out. It's had those windscreens shined up, and it's got a nice new set of spoked alloy wheels. They do stick out a little bit, but that's Corgi for you. It's quite tricky painting the details on this car, those bumpers and such. But I really like how it's turned out. I really like that military green. You can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Did you used to have this Corgi E-type when you were a kid? It's quite a tough little metal model, so I'd imagine quite a few of them have survived well. I really don't think the yellow did a whole heap for this model, and I think the E-type shape stands out a lot better with this deep green. So let's move on and check out the Playart one. This one was sure in a rough state when I got it. With all its paint sanded off there, missing headlight and those damaged bumpers. Lucky the windscreen was in pretty decent condition, no cracks on it. But it ended up being quite a bit of work to restore this car. Let's see if it's looking a bit better after a tidy up. And here it is, our finished Playart Jaguar E-type. Repainted in a nice red, and that's another one of the best colours for E-types. It's had some detailing done there, it's had those broken bumpers fixed up. It's got the headlights replaced, and it's got some nice new spoked gold wheels on it. It was a bit of work, but I'm pretty happy with how this car's turned out. Definitely looks 100% better than it did. Again, you can let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. Thanks heaps to everyone for the great comments and likes on all of my videos. Extra special thanks to my awesome Patreon supporters who help to support me through Patreon. If you'd like to help out the channel as well, help me keep making videos like this for you to watch, you can check out my Patreon page. There's a link in the description below. Extra special thanks to Nathan for sending this car over to be restored. I hope you like the way it came out, bud. Thanks heaps for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and would like to see more like it, remember to subscribe and hit the bell so that you get notifications. Give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends.